Okay, here I have another boombox. This is a National RX5020, quite a filthy old one. I'm guessing this, hard to tell with National styling sometimes, but I guess this is quite early in the 80s, I would think, if not from the 70s. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's got the old square type plug that Panasonic like to use. And we don't seem to have anything on. A lot of cool. God, the battery terminals have gone white and green, and no battery cover by the look of it. So she's a pretty rough old one, this one. Yeah, I don't know. We've actually got a battery light on. Oh, now we've got some sound. Just. Oh, it's fading away. Battery light's on, so I wonder if these switch is diggy. Very diggy. Where's the tuning control? Ah, it's missing. So yeah, this one's not a particularly great one, but we'll have a quick look at it. But yeah, the knob's missing off the end. Not a very nice looking one, really, in my opinion, anyway. And it's absolutely filthy and rough. But it may be worth using for parts or something, if nothing else. I don't think this is one I'd have on display, really. Just not really my style. This is sort of back, looks a bit more like when they were a bit more utilitarian in design rather than becoming a musical thing for kids and stuff. Oh, don't tell me these screws are rusted in. I think they've got to come out too. So we may end up having to break something to get this apart. Ah, that one's, I think, is it coming or not? It turned a bit, but it's, oh no. So this one might be a bit dead from the start. Might have to cut this plastic or something to get the, yeah, that's not coming, I don't think. I guess we can try drilling them out. But this one's not one I've been wanting to look at much because it just really isn't worth the bother in many ways. But got that out, that out. I swear there'd be another screw over here somewhere, but doesn't seem to be. Where does this thing split? Oh, it does split at the front. Yeah, this must be something over here. Ah, they put a screw where that missing knob is. Right there. I was going to say there'd have to be one over here. So that's not the world's greatest design, putting the screws in like that. I mean, at least it hides it, I guess, but I wonder why they didn't go from the back. Yeah, so this is leaving us with the problem of these ones. So I might have to try drilling those out. That was easier than I thought, because one thing I forgot happens is when you drill on these things, sometimes the head actually melts through the plastic. The other one, I'm not sure what happened with it, but it melted a bit and then the piece broke off, or maybe it just got loose and the bit slid out of the front panel. Oh my god, what have we got in there? Some sort of tape chewed up or something. Oh, yuck, this thing's really bad, but there's a whole lot of tape, so I'd say we've got a chewing issue somewhere. Someone certainly did in the past. But yeah, the batteries have done a real job on this one. October 1980, yeah, I thought it would have been a bit earlier. 6th of October 1980. You can just sort of, like I say, tell by the styling of them, they weren't so much of a fashion accessory as they sort of became. Get rid of that connector there. I might be able to twist that screw out of there, but yeah, there's a little slide-in metal bit that's, at least that'll probably come out and can be thrown away, if nothing else. Yeah, like that. So I've partly drilled the head out of it, and it's just a complete lump of iron oxide that's no good. So I've got an interesting looking mech in here. Looks like it's ready to fall out. It's got a great big long shaft, almost like one of those sharp double deckers, and that's got a long shaft. That's a bit of a weird, and then the metalwork up here, so that's a bit different. Pintroller's in good condition. Not sure about the belts, but we still have the issue of that switch at least is playing up. Or it's got a power issue. We've got a lot of sockets on the end of this thing too, so it's a bit more of a professional one in that sense. Microphone, line out, line in, headphone socket, external speakers, impedance 3 to 8 ohms, and something clogged that up, or it's just a heap of something dead in there, I think. Dead spider and a lot of cobweb in the headphone socket. That's pretty well had its day. So what if I give that switch a heap of cleaner down in there? Turn it upside down a bit, and that may be the issue with the radio power. Power cord. Whoops, now the power socket's just moved on me. Collapsed in a bit. Do we have any lights? Oh, I've unplugged the power light, haven't I? That doesn't help. Oh, we're not on radio. So maybe it's that switch is more the issue. Oh, it's probably the only issue now because I've cleaned the other one. Yeah, I can see that coming out the other end, so that should be getting up in there. Something's making a funny noise. Or was. I fixed it. No tuning knob.
Thing about age, and I wish I didn't have to use it.
And we have nothing. Well, I was hoping for a bit more action than that. No tape at all. So maybe the motor switch, or maybe the motor, unless it drops out nice and easy. Yeah, well, I wonder why the motor doesn't turn, again, given it's got the entire belt wrapped around it and it's jammed. That would be the issue. Yeah, really strange mechanism, this one. It's got a great big idler tyre in there. And not a lot else besides what there was a belt there. Is that a flat? Yeah, it's a flat belt. I didn't even look on the side, I assumed it was square, but looking at the capstan, that's definitely had a flat belt in it. I just hope it hasn't turned too much to goo, but thankfully it's unwinding. Looks like it chewed its own belt as well as chewing a tape. God, look, that's a tiny little thin flat belt too. That's a crazy thin one. They don't normally make them like that. Let's see, I guess, if the motor actually runs. Oh yeah, she's away. Ooh, doesn't sound too happy. Bit dry, I think. Oh, is that the stop button? It is. It doesn't work very well. Oh, so yeah, this mech's gonna be probably well beyond it, really. I don't know if it's worth putting a build in it to see what it does. It's full of dust, absolutely filthy. That really feels awful. So it's just got to be the slide bars, I think, because it's that slide bar there. Oh, it actually moves. Some of the grease is drying up, but it moves okay. It's not hard to push. Unlike this bit, which, yeah, that grease is just solid. There's a bit of yellow grease on here, and it's just, look at it, you can prise it off. It's solid. No wonder the thing's a bit stiff. It's like dried up varnish or something. There's a bit more here. So this, it's probably been a good 30 years since this thing's even out of use. I guess we could have a look at the capstan, and of course I took my screwdriver away to use for something else, and God knows where I put it. Okay, I left it in the ute after putting a new choke in it. Well, adding a choke cable since I changed the carburetor. And I could have sworn I put it back in the shed, but I didn't. I know I intended to, but obviously something got in the way. Just got a little spring hanging there. Is it going to stay there, that spring? Looks like it. The capstan. Oh my god, it ain't coming out. Ugh, it's leaving some sludge behind. Ugh, what is... I think it's actual hair or dust or something. That needs a lube for sure, that's quite tight, but now if... Nothing should really be all that tight on this. Can I lift that up a bit? Well, I don't know if I should, because it may spring something out of whack. Nothing obvious that should be wrong there, but this whole lever is moving really badly. So it could be where it's against this lever. Is there a way I can hold that across? Oh yeah, it's looser. I wouldn't say perfect, but better. That one is causing it grief. I don't think it's just because of the tension. Get out of there, filth. That's far from slippery. I'm betting on the back of this piece here there's... I wonder if we can take that piece out. I mean, I don't have much to lose with this thing. If I break it, then it's not the end of the world. Does that thing slide out that end? I think it slides across. Oh, here we go. I'm going to slide this whole piece across, because that's the bit with a lot of the dried up grease on it. Oh, it's just sticky and horrible. That needs a good clean. Just interesting to see whether this thing can be resurrected or not. I don't think there's much point doing it right up. But so occasionally you clean these boxes up and they look better than you expect them to. I'm pretty sure this is not going to be one. I'm not a fan of any of these early Nationals. They made some beautiful later machines, but these early ones were just boring as to look at. Just caked on there. Slowly being dissolved. Maybe I should try a bit of what's it named for dissolving belts on this stuff, or even that stuff for dissolving labels. I can never remember what that stuff's called. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I think that's mostly gone. There's maybe a little bit of sticky stuff, but that's a lot better than it was. If I can do the same with these, I guess I should really be removing some of this dust. I should have took this outside and cleaned it off. But if these other bits can be cleaned up as well, the matching faces how's that feel? Oh, that already feels a ton better. That's actually quite acceptable, even though it no doubt can be freed up even more by lubricating some of these bits down the bottom here. Yeah, that grease has gone pretty bad as well, the black stuff on that one. There is a bit on this white piece of plastic too, so the more of this I can clean off, the better. And you should be able to sneak enough under bits and pieces here to lube it back to its original, or very close to its original factory level of lubrication. Ah, there's just gooey grease there. And hairs and everything in it. Ah, yuck. Better put some methane on there. At least the methane tends to eat this stuff off fairly easily. Most of these other buttons are working alright, but why don't to clean all the path where that thing goes. That's most of the worst of it. That's that, a bit of rust. And there's some muck on there. And it looks like there was some grease onto the plastic. But well, that thing itself doesn't move, it's just all these other bits. That feels not the best. Doesn't feel so bad now. Whatever it was loosened up a bit, I think. That's the play. Ugh. That doesn't want to come back. That loosens it. Yeah, that one's particularly hard to loosen. Oh, now it's stuck again. So this little slide plate here, I think, needs a good lube as well. That's probably the release part. What latches and releases it, or at least related to that. Because this other piece doesn't move, does it? That's another piece we could probably take. Looks like you can unscrew that and take that off. If you really wanted to, you could pull this whole deck apart, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you really have to. And in this situation, this deck is not worth more than a resurrection, I don't think, just to see what we can get out of it. I mean, that idler is surprisingly in good condition. There's another idler here, so this is the problem with a lot of these earlier ones. Lots of rubber idler tyres, you can't get any more. And where did my grease go now? So if I grease up down around there, on that white plastic bit on this slide plate thing, still a little tight somewhere here. And we want where that other plate went across. Yeah, something's still sticking. So ideally it probably wants a bit under this bit, onto the plastic itself, plastic frame of the deck, and you can only get so much in there. That one wants some where that metal plate goes. I think all of them want a little bit around there. Sometimes you're better off with a cotton bud in this case, so you can smear a bit on. Problem is it tends to wipe it off and smear it on. Bit of an art to using them. Yeah, it wants to go up there a bit like that. But just out of interest, and while I'm at it, I might clean those idlers. Because they're not going to work any better covered in dust and stuff. And that's the capstan bushing there. That wants a little bit of a clean. And that is disgusting. That's actually rusted, I think. Yeah, it is rusted where the... I don't know if that's where the belt sat or the bit next to where the belt sat. But that is not good. I wonder which side the belt sits on. Not going to be real good for the belt if it's got rust. Let's get that slide plate thing back in there. Well, actually, that's not a slide plate, it's just a clamp thing to hold everything together. And see if our stop buttons feels any better. It may not, but oh yeah, that's more like it. Play still seems a little bit... It's not hard to release it now, but it's kind of clunky. Could probably do with some more grease on those two bits. One's just a record button, so I haven't even used that yet. The idler seems to be moving about. That bit could do with a bit of grease and the dust wiping off at the same time. Oh, that's probably the pause button, isn't it? Which doesn't latch because that little piece isn't swinging across. I wonder why. Is there a reason it doesn't latch? Like, what's that now? The fast forward stuck down. Ah, see, when you... If play isn't down... I knew some of these ones are a bit funny. If play isn't in position, then it won't let you pause, which kind of makes sense, I guess. But most of them are just that way, that they will operate no matter what, and that's moving this idler off to stop it. So that idler goes between capstan and, I guess that's the take-up reel, or that's the bottom of the other reel. Fast forward, rewind. That's doing the one of the reels. Let's just say that, and that's doing the other reel, so that's probably a good sign it's working. But yeah, why now this button's decided it doesn't want to release, even though I've lubed it. Well, some of it I've lubed. Something here is a bit stiff. As you can see, it's slowly moving, but anyway, that's good enough for now, I think. I'm not going to waste too much time on this thing. And the next problem is, can I get a belt for it? And let's oil the capstan a bit. Just get a dab out of the oil bottle, I think will do. Well, that runs beautiful. Actually quite a nice solid little, I think that's solid steel, that one. That other pulley to clean. Got a little grub screw on it, so that's interesting. That's definitely an early cassette motor, that one. But in those early sort of old flat shoebox style hi-fi ones, not the little battery ones, they actually had 240 volt motors in some of those. I think I've got one here somewhere, a Hitachi or something. It's got a proper full-on 240 volt motor, complete with fan on it and all that sort of thing. I must put a little bit of grease in this other part of the bearing, bushing, whatever it is. Because that was pretty horrible too. Now the question is, can I think we can put a wider belt on there, although it doesn't give a lot of room possibly. So we'll see, I've got my flat belts. So I've got these flat by 4 wide ones. Is that the original length? It's all still there, isn't it? Yeah, it's a split. Don't know if that's around 100 or something. Oh, I've got 100. Well, it won't be 100 then, will it? Oh damn, it's more like an 80 or something. Which I bet I haven't got. Yeah, 54 is the next one, by the look of it. Yeah. The ones that get used, I might have a wider, even wider one, but... And this is the problem with all this early stuff, all sorts of different methods of doing things. Oh, where's my other belts? 150, 60, 210, there's the massive stuff there, 46, 90. We've got 54 or 90. I reckon 90's too big, but you never know. Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit on the large side. Yeah, actually I think that might be an eBay. Jeez, I didn't get any oil on that, did I? Oh, grease. I think this is an eBay flat belt kit, but we might get saved again by the eBay one, because these ones have been pretty well stripped of anything useful. So are these the same kit or different? 4mm, so they're 4 wide. Oh, they're 3mm. Oh, well, there you go. We've actually got some super thin ones. That's interesting. I'm not sure this one's even as wide as 3mm, but it's more like a 2 or something. Yeah, it is. It's like a 2. It's crazy. It's about as wide as a VCR belt is square, sort of thing. Oh, the faces are one of those, so it's rather silly, really. But these are more in the sort of area we want them. That one fits, but it's a bit loose. But that's what I want to be seeing. Yeah, about the same. We need a bit shorter. Yeah, that's the kind of maybe. Might still be a bit long. If I can get the twists out of it. So yeah, so these eBay belt kits are pretty good for actual useful sizes. That fit a lot of these old decks. I wouldn't have thought there'd be a serious thing, but why is that wobbling around a lot? Yeah, that slips pretty easy. I think we need to go a little tighter. Okay, this one's the next size down by the look of it. Oh, that little pin thing there's annoying. Still wobbles around a bit. Oh yeah, that grips quite well though. Maybe a tad loose. What's the next size down, I guess? Do we have one slightly smaller again? Let's try it. Let's keep that one to one side. I think this is the next belt down. Oh yeah, that should be about it. Yeah, that's perfect. Don't ask me what length that one is, but it's perfect. So this kit goes right down to little small ones. So yeah, nice. And that one pretty much paid for itself, and the point is just having it on the spot when you want it means you don't have to order things. But yeah, I'd much prefer to buy eBay belts for flat ones, because not very often you need them these days, and I'm not going to restock them when they're, you know, $2-3 each, some of them. I think most of them are at least that much these days, so there's no point having them in stock for the occasional thing like this, which isn't even worth fixing. Other than just for the fun of it, and to prove that it can be done. Oh, we've got that little spring, haven't we? Not sure what that does, but At least the stop button now works. At least the fast forward just came back up with it always will. It seems to behave itself now. Play feels a bit funny when it unlatches. Now, let's see if we got any action here. Yeah, we got take up, not very good. I'd say the idler's pretty well gone. But that'll probably work okay. It's only got to pick up the... That's actually got tons of torque. Play one's only got to pick up the loose tape. As long as the pinch roller's going well. Now we're making some funny noises. So that's because I haven't got the heads plugged in. Have a look at the dust in there. My God. Now that is disgusting. So now I'll go and grab it with my fingers. Ugh. Not funny. But it is only dust. Pretty harmless these days. Who knows how long it's been in there. But biologically it probably is pretty harmless. I guess I should clean that rather dusty looking record playback switch. Set my contact cleaner sticking to the speaker magnet. And there's a lot of dust in there too, but I'm not going to fuss about that. It'll be interesting to see if this motor's any good. What is stopping you going in there? What is this great big mongrel? Is that the record playback switch or something? Yeah, it is. So there's a wire attaching to that itself to that. So that other thing's got to go in front of the... slip over the record playback switch. That one's definitely different. There's dust all under the heads there. Not that it matters much, but I guess we might as well give it a clean. Doesn't look too bad, but a couple I've had lately haven't looked too bad, and they have been dirty. That pinch roller actually looks like new. Doesn't even look like it's even had a tape over it ever. Maybe that was the problem. It just sat there and no one used the tape function until it all rotted away. Oh no! That was a mistake. I forgot that happens. Broke the radio dial off, or pointer. I'm going to have to glue that back on or meld it back on. Which end actually snapped? I think that angled end is the end we look at. Luckily this isn't one I really care about, but I can probably melt that back on temporarily. Yeah, I forgot that happened. You catch your brush on it and off they snap. So we've got take up, fast forward, rewind, all looking good. Let's see if it works. Seems to. Gonna have to fix those volumes, they're awful. No wonder it sounds a bit dull too, because we've got the tone turned down a bass end. I'll have to give that a clean while I'm at it, I guess. So there you go, even this horrible old thing looks like it's resurrectable. Neck's dropping out. Oh, better with some treble in it. That actually sounds pretty good. Highs are down slightly, like the azimuth is out a little bit, but wow, doesn't sound like it's got any wow in it. Yeah, so it seems to be working alright. Not the greatest sounding deck, but I don't think it's got much in the way of wow, surprisingly. That old motor in there has survived rather well, I think. Not perfect, but not bad. Okay, so I think I'll give this thing a bit of a clean up and throw it back together as is. Yeah. It's filthy inside. I'll get all the grot out of it. Okay, I gave it a clean up. Certainly looks a lot better. It was either clean it up or chuck it in the dumpster because I can't stand looking at it anymore. Still a few bits of mist. It's almost impossible to get this thing completely clean, and it's going to be a bit rough anyway. But I think that's at least good enough to chuck on the shelf somewhere. And it does basically work still. So yeah, it's not quite as horrible as I thought it was, but it's still not exactly my idea of my favourite boombox. But anyway, we'll put that one aside. I do have another one that's kind of similar to this, so we'll get onto that one next. But anyway, thanks for watching.